Morning. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm just going to yell at y'all today. I don't have any microphones on. This is going to be, obviously, as you can tell, this is going to be about Charlie Kirk. Just so everybody's fully aware of what's going on here. There's not going to be anything outside of Charlie Kirk and 9/11. So if you're not interested in that, now's the time to go somewhere else because that's all this is going to be. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to get through. And I want to start off with this article or this post that I found. It's from somebody on the left. It's from a Democrat. And I think it's an interesting thing that needs to be said out loud because the assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday, it wasn't oh, he got shot and he died, he passed away. He was assassinated because of who he is, because of what he stood for, and because of how he was able to reach the young minds of this country and other countries, to have them step back and think about what they were being shown, what they're being indoctrinated with, everything else, right? And so I just want to read this to you guys before we get into the whole thing. I'm trying to go in a timeline from yesterday up until this morning. There's the possibility I will be off timelines and we'll talk about things more than once. It is what it is. I'm going to try to keep myself calm, which y'all know is very difficult for me. I'm a very emotional person, but I will do my best on this one to just be as woosah as humanly possible. I'm pretty sure the majority of us slept like shit last night because yesterday was a very, very rough day, and what it meant, what it means for the United States of America, and on the eve of 9/11, like the timing of everything, just a lot of stuff. But okay, so I want to read this to you guys. And it says, this is from someone on the left. Like I said, he said things that made people angry. I get that. I really do. I wasn't a huge fan of everything he said either. But imagine being murdered in front of your family for what you believe in. Whether we liked his views or not, he was an American, a father, and a human. And just like all of us, he was entitled to his beliefs, no matter how controversial to some of us. This didn't happen in a war zone. This didn't happen in a dictatorship. This happened on a college campus, on American soil, in front of his wife and children. You don't have to agree with someone to know they did not deserve to die. You don't have to support someone to believe they should have gone home that night. The idea that we've drifted so far from empathy, decency, and basic human values that we now rationalize or even celebrate murder based on political disagreement. It's not just about Charlie Kirk. It's about what kind of culture we're creating if disagreement justifies dehumanization. And yes, he said things I struggled with. He said things I still can't reconcile, but I will never celebrate his death, and I will never forget that 2 little children and a wife just watched their world collapse. If that doesn't hit you somewhere deep, you're not paying attention to your own humanity, praying for his friends and family. And again, this is from somebody that is a self-proclaimed Democrat left who does not like the right, who did not like Charlie Kirk. But what I've seen in the past, 12 hours since the assassination of Charlie Kirk is how far down we as humans have fallen from the level of decency and humanity that we should be at. The amount of people that are cheering the murder of this man is sickening. It is beyond sickening. The people who are willingly putting their faces and their names on social media, dancing around and smiling and everything else about the assassination of a young father, of a husband, of a man who all he did was try to bring people together to have a conversation. He never belittled anybody. I spent hours last night watching Charlie Kirk's either reels, TikTok reels people were putting up, his podcast, a lot of different things, trying to find where somebody could have an issue with him to the point where, 1, they would want to assassinate him, or 2, they would be joyful at his death. And I could find nothing. I stepped back because you guys know over here, I try to look at things from every single angle humanly possible because I was a Democrat, because I am now more conservative and Republican than anything, although I still don't even want to label myself because it's a lot, right? But trying to step back and look at everything from the eyes of a human, a person, and not a political whatever, I could not find any reason why somebody should dislike that man. He had an open heart and an open mind for every single person that showed up at his I don't know if rally is the right word. That feels like the wrong word. I don't know what we're supposed to call them. Events, right? He would listen to the left and the right evenly. He would debate the left and the right the same way. He would never try to make somebody feel stupid. If they felt stupid, that was on them. But he was trying to make people see where society has basically shit itself over time. And this other thing I have here, I've got a lot. Barack Obama posted yesterday, and my husband actually sent it to me. For those of you who don't know, my husband is a black man. A lot of you already know it. He's a black man, and I would say that, you know, when he was younger, he might have even been considered a Democrat because, you know, when you're younger, they say you're a Democrat. When you get older, smarter, wiser, and really out into the world, you become a Republican. He sent me the Barack Obama quote from yesterday, and his words to me were, "This man is the piece of shit that has started everything," which is true. Barack Obama posted yesterday, "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. But this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children." Barack Obama, if you've ever listened to this, and I know you never will, but whatever, you and people like you are what motivated a person to shoot and kill Charlie Kirk. There is no question on why he was assassinated. It's not, I mean, are you fucking kidding me? So then when he says, "This kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy," we are a republic. As a previous president, you should know that. We are a republic, and that's what you need to refer to us as. But anyway, listen, the way people were talking yesterday, MSNBC, CNN, the things that they were saying, what happened on the House floor, which we'll get to in just a little bit, it's beyond disturbing that there are so many people out there who have their heads so far up their asses that they can't even hear it when the shit comes out of their mouth. It is absolutely just mind-boggling to me that that man was president for 8 years and that he still got to pull the strings on the puppet Biden and, you know, try to put Kamala in there. All these, anyway, this is another post that I saw before we get into everything else. This is another post that I saw. And this said, "It's scary. It's scary because Charlie Kirk just got shot for doing the same thing we tell our kids to do. We raise our children to stand up for what they believe in, to speak with courage, to not follow the crowd just because it's easier. But then we turn on the news and see someone taken out because someone didn't agree with them. And as a parent, that shakes you. Because how do we teach our kids to be bold and brave in a world that punishes people for exactly that? We want them to live with conviction, to speak their truth, to never be afraid of being different, but at the same time, we're terrified for the world they're walking into. It should not be dangerous to believe in something. It should not cost your life to use your voice. As parents, we're caught between raising fearless children and praying the world won't break them for it," which is extremely true. My daughter yesterday, she sends me a text and she said, "I don't know if you've heard, but Charlie Kirk was shot." And I replied back to her, I said, "Yes, I've heard." I said, "Unfortunately, I've seen the video. I do not believe he will make it." And she replied back, "A lot of people are saying good because he's a bad guy." And I said, "What about him is bad?" And she goes, "I don't know. That's just what they're saying." Because, of course, she's surrounded by other kids who are either listening to their parents or listening to mainstream media, TikTok, whatever, who have never had conversations with people with half a brain cell to discuss who Charlie Kirk and what he stood for and things like that, right? So we're texting back and forth. We're on our way to pick her up and we're texting back and forth. And I said to her, I said, "Google Charlie Kirk and just tell me what you find." And she said she Googled him and there was so much on there that she did not know what to believe. And I said, and that is where we are right now. There is so much going on that it's hard for people to know what to believe at this day and age because you have so many people that are willingly lying in order to keep you from knowing the truth of things, keep you from knowing who a person truly is, right? So I explained to her, I said, "I am the one person who will never lie to you. I will tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, the truth, no matter what." I said, "Charlie Kirk is a very religious man. For people who don't like religion, they're going to have a problem with him. Charlie Kirk is a man who is all about family. For those who aren't into the normal family, the typical family of a husband, a wife, 2 children, dog, picket fence, White House, all that stuff, you're going to have a problem with him. I said Charlie Kirk is a man who believed strongly in the Bible, who believed strongly in our Constitution, who believed strongly in humanity, basically. And people who do not have those same beliefs are going to tell you he was a bad man because he wanted people to understand that there's only 2 genders. He wanted people to understand you're born a man and you're always a man, you're born a woman and you're always a woman. He wanted people to understand that a man and a wife should be the only things in the eyes of God that are a marriage, right? All these different things. And I said, do those things sound like a bad man to you? And she said, no. And I said, why do you think somebody would think that that's a bad man? She goes, obviously somebody who thinks, how did she phrase this? Oh my gosh, my texts are in my phone, so I can't pull it up. She said, because I asked her, I said, why do you think your friends think he's, or your people, or that you know, think he's a bad man? And she said, because they're being lied to, or because they're not smart enough to know better. And I said, that's 100% correct. A lot of people, younger people, weren't paying attention to what's going on. Charlie Kirk was opening younger people's eyes. He was going to college campuses to talk to these children on the cusp of being adults, these children who are going to be able to vote, these children who are legally old enough to go to war, these children who are legally old enough to get married now, these children who can make these decisions for themselves medically on body changing and things like that. He was going to the place where the future of our country and our world truly does depend on. It depends on the younger generation. And I was telling my daughter this morning, we're driving to school, and I said, you know, today's 9/11, September 11th. She said, yeah. I said, it's been 24 years. She said, yeah. And I said, I feel like Charlie Kirk will be your generation's 9/11, because a lot of kids her age and younger, they don't understand 9/11. She's 16. It happened 24 years ago. I remember it because I was there when it, not there when it happened, but watching it on the news as it unfolded live. Yesterday, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Kids her age and, you know, up to 24 years, they are watching that live. That is going to be what brings them together, I think. So here's where I'm going to read you this. Okay, this says, this is from a gay man. He wrote this. He said, scrolling social media and watching someone get murdered twice in 1 week is not normal. First, a Ukrainian woman on a bus in Charlotte. Now, Charlie Kirk on a college campus. That is not something any human being should have to see on their phone, especially or casually sandwiched between a recipe video and a meme. What has happened to our country that we are so numb to violence that watching people lose their lives in real time has become just another piece of content? We should be horrified. We should be grieving. We should be demanding better. Instead, we keep scrolling. We talked about this yesterday. I could not go more than one swipe up on X or anywhere else without seeing the gunshot hit Charlie Kirk in the throat. And it was, I'm telling you right now, watching those planes hit the Twin Towers, nope. Whew. You think watching 9/11 happen, right? You think watching 9/11 happen is something that is going, how do you pass that? How does something like that, what gets worse than that, right? Seeing a man get murdered is, you don't have to know Charlie Kirk. You don't have to know any human being to see someone get murdered and it not have just an everlasting effect on you. But knowing that area was filled with children. I mean, college age kids, some over 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. They are young. They probably have never seen something like that except for, you know, movies, TV shows, everything else. And they're standing there and they see this man get assassinated in real time in front of their eyes. Do you know how many of them probably did not even register what happened because we have become so desensitized to stuff since, obviously, honestly, 9/11. We've become so desensitized because mainstream media went from bringing you the news that was important to bringing you the sensational shit and trying to see how they could one up each other and top each other and make it more dramatic and get that viral clip and whatever else, which is why yesterday and whenever else I refuse to show that video, because it is not something I would want anybody to see ever, because it is something that will replay over and over and over again in your head. The people in New York who physically saw those planes hit the Twin Towers, who saw those people jumping out of the towers to their deaths, there's no way that did not mentally, emotionally, physically affect them for the rest of their lives. What happened yesterday, and it doesn't matter if people agree with me on this or not. This is how I personally feel. What happened yesterday to one man is as tragic as what happened on 9/11 to 3,000 people, because of how it was done, why it was done, what it was designed to incite or trigger or stop. We're going to woosah for just a second. Bring this shit under control. It will be okay. Okay, hold on. I find when I take my glasses off and I can't see and I'm blind, it makes it easier for me to kind of reel myself back in here. Okay. I saw somebody that said, why does it matter if it's a gay man? I was just reading the name of the person who wrote it. That's why I mentioned that a gay man wrote that. It didn't really matter. Okay, so I'm sorry. Just give me 2 seconds. So here we are. I'm going to try and get back to the front of where I was starting with yesterday. So yesterday we went live when this all happened, right? As soon as we knew that Charlie Kirk had been shot, we went live. It was a really shitty live stream. You couldn't see anything, whatever, but you could hear exactly what was going on. And yesterday in the beginning, during that live stream, it was maybe 45, 60 minutes after he had been shot. You know, they were saying that they had arrested this guy. So we showed you the picture of the guy they say they arrested. Well, that's not the right guy. Then they say it's a different guy. Well, that's not the right guy. Now they're saying they are on the hunt for the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk. At first, they thought it was somebody in the audience, but I've watched the videos. As much as I did not want to watch the videos, I've watched the videos from so many different angles of the shooting. And when it happened, so many people turned and looked up, because you can hear where a shot is fired from. So many people up and to the right. I have a video of one man looking up and to the right and jumping up and cheering as soon as Charlie Kirk was shot, jumping up and cheering. Despicable human behavior. But obviously somebody on a roof, not somebody in the crowd, right? You have to think about the angle of the shot. If you've seen it, then you may know, right? The irony of how many different things happened yesterday, or not irony, I don't even know if that's the right word. You have a shooter on a rooftop, very July 13th or June 13th, Butler, Pennsylvania. I always get it confused which day it was. Butler, Pennsylvania, for Donald Trump. You have Charlie Kirk shot in the neck, whereas the country isn't up in arms right now over the neck stabbing of the Ukrainian refugee on the bus. Both in the neck. Okay? My first thought is this is a subliminal sign that they are going for our jugular. They're going for the throat, because that's how you win a fight. I mean, you can choke somebody out like that. You can take a life just with the throat, right? You can end everything by going for the throat. They tell you if you're being robbed, assaulted, whatever, yeah, you can kick them in the junk, but if you hit them right here, that's the end. It'll drop them to their knees when you go for the throat. And the comparison is not the right word. The similarities between the initial rallying cry That's what I'm going to call the murder of the woman on the train. It was more like a rallying cry for a lot of people who immediately were up in arms, right? At first, they were up in arms over black versus white, right? And everything's being pushed with the racial divide and whatnot. Then you see Charlie Kirk get shot in the throat, and it is a rallying cry that has gone to a level that I don't know that we have heard or seen since 9/11. And the fact that this happened right before 9/11, where people are going to be already up in their feelings and in their patriotic mood and everything else today, you have this happen right before. I feel like everything kind of goes hand in hand, right? So let me just bring all this stuff up here. It's always weird when somebody parks right next to me in a wide-ass open parking lot. Just, you know. But in case anybody's curious, I do have ways to keep myself safe. Okay, so I'm trying to get back to the beginning of this yesterday. There's so many things that were posted, and I just want to go through a bunch of different stuff because right now people are, talking about Charlie Kirk, the political activist. Well, I'd like to think about Charlie Kirk, the father, the husband, the American, not what he was, but who he was, right? Political activist is what? Who he was a man of God, a man of faith, a man of family values, a man who wanted to see his children, grow up, who wanted to be with his wife as long as humanly possible, and that was taken from him. The videos that they keep showing of him, I know there's going to be so much glare here, and I do apologize. He cared more about his family than anything else. He did what he did because of his family. He did these events because he wanted a better, safer country and world for his children in the future. Like, there's nothing you can say wrong about that man. Although people keep trying. They keep trying to say, oh, well, he was all about Israel. Well, not as much. And a lot of people are saying that might be what got him killed. There's a lot of speculation going on right now. Now, listen, because I always look at things from every single angle, I'm going to look at it from an angle that a lot of people will get their feathers ruffled over. And it's not my intention, but I look at everything from every single possible standpoint. A lot of people said that the assassination attempt on Trump was staged, that it was fake, that it was something that the Republicans or Trump himself did in order to, again, have like a rallying cry to really bolster and push that patriot feeling and push the America first, right? A lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said that 9/11 wasn't real, that it was orchestrated by Bush, by the government at the time in order to take out Building 7, I believe it was, and what really happened at the Pentagon and all these other things, okay? The fact that there's a lot of people saying that Charlie Kirk is a political pawn, that it's the same thing, that it is a orchestrated assassination by our government to give that push again. And that push, though, this time isn't about America first. That push this time is Republicans versus Democrats. That push this time is for the Civil War. And it's not a civil war on skin. It's a civil war on political beliefs. That is what a lot of people are saying. Left and right. That's what a lot of people will say, because everybody goes, this sounds real fucked up when I say it this way, but everybody goes for the jugular. You go for the thing that you think is going to drop somebody to their knees, especially when you are trying to win a fight. Think about when you argue with somebody. If you are really into this argument, you're going to pull out that one thing that is going to really hurt the other person, the words, right? This is the same kind of thing. Now, I'm trying to figure out where to start with this because there's so much, right? Now, the first person they said shot Charlie Kirk was Michael Mallinson, a Toronto resident, and he'd been arrested so many times. Well, that has been debunked. He was let go, right? The fact that he was saying, shoot me, that's a little interesting in and of itself. But I saved this picture, but I'm not going to show it to you. I can't show you this. There's somebody posted that said September 2025 is when everything changed, and it's a side by side of the girl right after she was stabbed, Arena right after she was stabbed in the throat, and of Charlie Kirk immediately after he was shot, and the angle of his body and I can't do it. Just know that a lot of people are saying that, again, like I said, 2025 is the new rallying cry, is the new push for change, whatever that may be, right? Chris Pratt, he is married to Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter or whatever else, posted, praying for Charlie Kirk right now, for his wife and young children, for our country. We need God's grace. God help us. A lot of celebrities are afraid to mention God. They are afraid to talk about religion because of the lack of religion in the Hollywood area, Hollywood scene, Democrats in general, right? I have still yet to meet a Democrat who is religious. I'm not saying it's not possible and that it doesn't happen, but I have yet to meet one that is legitimately for the Bible, for Jesus, for God. It's just, I've never seen one. And that may also be why I am still now trying to find my foothold in religion and spirituality and everything else, because growing up, I was probably more Democrat than anything. And so religion just wasn't there for me like that, right? So this guy says here, witness claims he knew the man police arrested for allegedly shooting Charlie Kirk. And he said, and I turn and look and they're arresting a guy. He goes, yeah, I know the guy. I don't think he did it. I think they arrested the wrong guy. I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharp shooter. It was one shot. We need to find out who did this, which is another thing. A lot of people are showing the video of what they're saying is the man running on the rooftop. There's a video by Liberal Hive Mind. I don't know if you guys have ever watched his channel. He put up a video yesterday. It's got almost 1 million views already, and he really breaks down the rooftop area where the videos are showing this alleged shooter, right? And there's a video circulating where I think it's girls are recording, and they show that there's a person running on a rooftop, and like, oh my gosh, there's somebody up on the roof. Did they stop and call 911? Did they do anything? No, not at all. They just uploaded it to TikTok, because that's what we do now. We see something and we say something to the internet only. We don't say something to the person who needs the warning, to the police or whoever else who could stop what we've seen. We just go straight to the internet for it, right? And Liberal Hive Mind has a video where it shows the person on the building. He breaks down where that building is, the angles of the building, and how it's fully feasible that this person did make that shot. And I was thinking to myself, why was there nobody paying attention to the rooftops? But at the same time, they weren't paying attention to the rooftops in Butler, Pennsylvania either. Not to all of them. And was that on purpose? So you have to ask yourself, everything that's lining up right now, they haven't found the shooter. Kash Patel has come out and talked about, we think we have them. The FBI, there's news that the FBI said it's somebody in their mid-20s. I have videos here or posts here of a guy that posted stuff on social media about how it was going to be the end of Charlie Kirk's life, and now they're hopefully looking into him. I'm trying to find, I have so many things saved. Yesterday, after everything was said and done, President Trump ordered all American flags to fly at half staff until Sunday. So the White House has already lowered their flags. Glenn Beck posted up how he already lowered his flag at his ranch or wherever he is to half staff. But J.B. Pritzker, this fat piece of shit, has blamed Trump and the January 6th rioters for their shooting of Charlie Kirk. The guy on MSNBC, something Dowd, whatever his name is, who blamed Charlie Kirk for his assassination, has been fired. MSNBC even came out, the president or whatever of MSNBC came out and with a statement and apologized and said that that's not even how they feel about things, and that it was not okay what happened with the person they had on. I'm trying to find it. Here it is. Massive outcry for the removal of MSNBC's Matthew Dowd after he immediately victim blamed Charlie Kirk, basically justifying his death. Again, I have the video, but I will not play the audio. I don't want to give these people any time like that. But then, like I said, afterwards, where is it? I've got so many different things saved here that it's almost impossible to find everything. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go in order here, but it's very difficult. Statement from MSNBC President Rebecca Cutler. During our breaking news coverage of the shooting of Charlie Kirk, Matthew Dowd made comments that were inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. We apologize for his statement, as has he. There is no place for violence in America, political or otherwise, which I find interesting when the left pushes violence on a daily basis, consistently pushes the violence, that now they're trying to say that there is no room for violence. It's just whatever. But now they're saying that he has been fired. This is what I found interesting. Amala Ekpanobi posted this. I don't know if you've ever watched her on YouTube. She used to be part of Daily Wire, like with like Matt Walsh was and everybody else, and then she left and went her own way, and she talks about a lot of different things. I'm a fan of Amala Ekpanobi personally. I like the way she thinks about things. But Charlie Kirk posted this previously, and it said, this is his words: assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be at least somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is the natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local prosecutors and school officials have turned the left into a ticking time bomb. Now, this was written a while ago, but it is very, very true. The riots, the protests, the everything else, it escalates every single time. It seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. The shootings at these schools, it's generally 99% of the time a left-leaning individual who is having some sort of mental issue, identity crisis, whatever else, right? This is what, so there's this lady named Leslie Smithson who said, whoever shot Charlie Kirk, thank you. And then she made a post, bleeding from the neck, laughing my ass off. And it's like, why are people like this? Like this? Like, what has happened to you in your life that you think that this is okay? That's a question that I have for everybody. Gunther Eagleman said, they just made 1 million more Charlie Kirks. His spirit will dominate all else. I told my husband yesterday when it happened, I said, this is going to shut people up. This is going to make people afraid to talk, afraid to continue on the conversation. I spent last night, like I said, watching everything that Charlie Kirk has been doing, and at the same time telling myself, you got to stop talking about politics. You have a child. If something happens to you because some batshit crazy loon out there, I mean, I already have y'all. I don't tell y'all everything because it's not like you don't need to know everything, and but whatever. But I have people who I have to be wary of, who email me, who have claimed to know where I live, who claim to know where my family is, who all these things, who send me violent emails, and it's very concerning. It's very scary. And so when something like this happens to Charlie Kirk, a man who is just talking in a positive way, and I know for a fact that I myself sit here and talk shit about the left, which he did not do. He was very, open to both sides having that conversation, and I am more emotional with it. It makes me go, oh shit, like I need to stop? Do I need to step back? Do I need to whatever? And then my brain goes, no, because that's the point. That's why people do the things that they do, is to convince other people that they need to be quiet. They need to shut up. They need to not bring this information. They need to not have these opinions. They need to not have these conversations. And that's the problem. Shutting down the conversations will be the end of everything. You have to have the conversations. We are where we are because so many people did not talk for the longest. We've talked about it. You don't talk about money, politics, or religion. And look where we are because people bought into that. Don't talk about money, politics, and religion. If we had always talked about money, politics, and religion, I feel like we would be a much more cohesive country, because it would be less fighting and more understanding. But because we let it get to the point where we were so far removed from each other that now we can't even understand each other or have a conversation with each other, this is where we are, where somebody goes and kills a man because they don't agree with what he is saying things. I dislike numerous people out there. It would never occur to me to end their lives. It would never occur to me to cheer the end of their lives, right? Yet here we are. This here, this is the one I was this is the one I was telling you about. This was posted yesterday by some person named Omar. It says, Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him, literally. And then they replied to it, let's just say something big will happen tomorrow. And I had the picture of the person, which is clearly a trans person, but I don't have that one saved anymore. But now, you know, Libs of TikTok tagged FBI and Kash Patel and was like, you have got to pay attention when people are posting things like this. They're telling you ahead of time what they're doing. A lot of times they do, right? This is something that was posted last night from Charlie Kirk's pastor. And I just want to read it to you guys, okay? So give me a moment here for this. He said, my friend Charlie Kirk was murdered today by a coward. His life will be remembered for many all with the power of the spoken word. He never used violence, but was threatened every day with violence by those who couldn't contend with logic and truth. And now they have done to my friend what evil always does. It takes away life. Charlie did not die, however, but instead he has begun to truly live. His life was secured eternally by his Savior, Jesus Christ. This truth allowed Charlie to face every threat with courage because he didn't fear death. All evil knows is death, and they derive power from death. Charlie lived for life and will be remembered for this. Hold on, I'm sorry. I need to fix that. Will be remembered for this. My heart is broken for his family, his wife Erica, and his two precious children. Evil has not prevailed, and it will not win. And then it's signed Rob McCoy, which is his pastor. He said he called me his pastor, but I prefer to be known as his friend and biggest fan. The last night, about 15 hours ago, they said Charlie Kirk's assassin was in custody, according to the FBI. And again, they let that person go. The suspect in the shooting of Charlie Kirk in custody. This is what Kash Patel had to say at the time. The subject for the horrific shooting today that took the life of Charlie Kirk is now in custody. Thank you to the local and state authorities in Utah for your partnership with FBI. We will provide updates when able. And then they had to let that person go as well. I saw a video that they said was that man being arrested, and it looked like somebody in his maybe 50s or 60s with hair down to about here, like white hair, but he wasn't wearing all black. And they had a rifle, but it was a shotgun. What shot him? There's no way that was a shotgun, like the type I would go clay shooting with. It's not feasible from the angle, the area, the trajectory, like the distance, all of it. It had to be more of a high-powered rifle, right? There's this guy over on X called Amiri King, and he says we cannot coexist. This is an established fact. We either need a national divorce or a civil war. These are the only solutions. I welcome the latter. And that's what I think is going to happen right now. You're going to have so many people pushing for this civil war. And what's crazy to me is how many people I've seen posting about how Charlie Kirk is a nonviolent man, and obviously it didn't work, and now we need to get violent. That is not the way you honor somebody's memory, by doing the complete polar opposite of what they gave their life trying to do. He gave his life. I mean, that's what this comes down to. He gave his life trying to convince people that violence is not the answer, that faith is the way to go, that love of man and womankind is the way to go, and that family over everything. At no point in time would Charlie Kirk say, we need to go fight each other. We need to bring violence into this. No. Even when people would go after him, he would not resort to violence, ever, right? All right, let's see what we got going on here. You guys, I can see the chat. I missed some of it. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of this person, if I can get it to work. There we go. Hide user on this channel. Thank y'all. When I see enough of you tagging somebody, it triggers me to do stuff. So thank you for that. This is what Charlie Kirk had to say. Colin Rugg posted this up. I don't know when Charlie Kirk did this. This was Charlie Kirk. He said, I'm just flesh and bone, but more importantly, I'm a soul, and that soul is accountable to one being. I've had an unbelievably blessed life, so praise God. I've been all across the world. I've met with world leaders. I've flown Air Force One, got to know a president. I have an amazing family, the podcast Turning Point USA. And so you experience that and you're like, what actually matters? What matters is your relationship with the divine, your relationship with your family, your kids, and maybe a close collection of friends, and your relationship with the truth. That's what Charlie Kirk is about. Not about violence and civil war and things like that. If we, as a nation, let the assassination of Charlie Kirk turn this place even more violent, you're basically shitting on his grave at that point. It is complete and utter disrespect to go that route. But of course, all of us are sitting here going, well, what do we do then? Like, what is the option? What is the route that we take? Because talking, people are saying, well, talking obviously didn't work. Look where that got you. Where is the correct answer? Nobody knows, right? I have no idea what the correct answer is. I do know that we here on, I would say, this side, unfortunately, that's what it feels like. This side, the conservatives, the Republicans, the religious, the whatever, would say, you know, compassion, empathy, kindness. But we see that that's not given from the left or received from the left. You try to have the conversation and look what happens, right? And it's just, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot. So JD Vance posted this, but first, this guy William Wolf posted. He said, this gets even worse when you consider that Charlie Kirk, more than anyone else in America on the right or left, built his platform making a good faith effort to model civil political discourse and debate in the public square. His entire project was built on reaching across the divide and using speech, not violence, to address and resolve the issues. To which JD Vance posted, this is such a good point. If you actually watch Charlie's events, as opposed to the fake summaries, they are one of the few places with open and honest dialogue between left and right. He would answer any question and talk to everyone. And that is 100% true. Like I said, I spent hours last night watching him debate, talk, joke with these kids, whether they were left, middle, right, whether they were young. There was a 9-year-old at one of them, an 11-year-old at one. There was, you know, you have people who refuse to back down even when they knew how wrong they were. It's absolutely crazy. What's interesting to me, the New York Yankees last night, you think to yourself, oh, New York, a bunch of liberals, right? They had a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. The Yankees posted this on X. They said, before tonight's game, we held a moment of silence in memoriam of Charlie Kirk. Kirk founded the youth activist group Turning Point USA and had become a fixture on college campuses. Charlie Kirk, a husband and father of 2 children, was 31 years old. And you notice that they did not say a conservative, a Republican, a Trump supporter. They didn't do any of that. And I personally like that they did not bring the politics into it, because unfortunately that's why his life was ended, was because of the politics of everything. But this is at Yankee Stadium where they had him up on the big screen. Now, people may have booed. Anything is possible. I was not there for it. I do not know if people cheered, if people were quiet, if people booed. Not sure what was going on there. But what I do know is that when the Mike Johnson tried to call for a moment of silence on the House floor. Let me see if I can get to this. Like I said, I have so many things saved here. When he tried to call for a moment of silence on the House floor, Democrats lost their minds, which is absolutely disgusting that they booed and everything else. Come on now. Where are you? There's so much. I'm sorry. Here we go. Ronnie Jackson posted, this is one of the most disgusting and evil things I've ever seen. Just before we learned Charlie had passed, we tried to lead a prayer on the House floor, praying for his recovery after he was tragically shot. The Democrats started booing and yelling at us. It was absolutely disgusting. Their rhetoric caused this, and their actions today show they have no remorse. Let's see.
I would ask that all members present in the chamber and those in the gallery please rise for a moment of prayer for Charlie Kirk and his family.
So you have them getting up, right? I'm waiting. It's like 2 minutes long, so I apologize for it taking forever. I have my volume turned down. What's happening? Hold on.
What purpose does the gentlelady from Colorado rise?
1 second. I'm trying to figure out exactly what's happening here. Wait. Oh, there it goes. So the lady from Colorado, it's very hard to hear, and I apologize for that. So the lady from Colorado, she gets up and she's saying that there shouldn't be a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk because there were just 2 students shot in Colorado. And she's like, why aren't we having a moment of silence for them? And then that's when the Democrats jumped in and agreed with it. And then the booing and the hissing and everything else started. Because yesterday, on top of the assassination of Charlie Kirk at around the same time, there was a school shooting in Colorado. But then you have to think to yourself, well, Colorado's very left, very liberal. Are we surprised? You know what I mean? Like, and then to be upset that there was a moment taken for somebody before these other people knew what was going on with a school shooting. It's anyway, that's the whole thing. So the other thing here, now they are posting, there's this app called Blue Sky. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Blue Sky. It's more for left, obviously. But they are now posting who's next. So these are all these posts where they're calling for the assassination of someone else. I hope they do Joe Rogan next. Nice. Can we do Ben Shapiro next? J.K. Rowling next. This one says, best birthday present ever. I'm laughing so hard. That's what you get. Biatch, die, biatch. That's what you deserve. Someone should take out Ben Shapiro next. Matt Walsh next, please. Honestly, as much as I want to say, okay, do Ben Shapiro next, we really got to start rooting for a good Samaritan to hit up Dennis Prager. It's just, I mean, these are people who are willingly putting this out on the internet. Now, you have to also ask yourself, because, you know, step back from it. Is this really real people doing this, or is this being done to push that civil war, that bigger divide between the left and the right? Because it's so hard to know what is real anymore with what you're seeing and hearing everywhere. At first, when Charlie Kirk was shot, the very first video that came out of it, or that was out of it, people were like, maybe it's AI. And it definitely was not AI. It was definitely, if you have not seen it, I would suggest never watching it in your life. And I said this yesterday, I would not watch it. I would not watch his murder. I would not watch the murder of Arena on the train. I would not watch it, because when your mind finally triggers that it is real, it is not a scene from a movie, it's not a scene from a TV show, that is not fake blood, and that is not an actor pretending to be lifeless. When your brain understands that, it will fuck you up. And I don't want that to happen to anybody else. So I saw a video, which I will not show you either, of right after Charlie Kirk was shot. His team jumped on top of him, tried to hold his neck to stop the bleeding. And I saw the video of them carrying him. There were 6 or 7 men carrying him to the back of an SUV to take him to the hospital. I can tell you that, and I said it yesterday when it happened, Charlie Kirk was not alive when he got put into that SUV. He died on that stage. They would not tell you that immediately, obviously. There were so many false reports coming out that the hospital said he was stable, that all this other stuff. Glenn Beck got dragged for a minute because he went on what he was being told by people who said they were in the tent and his inside people. He got dragged because he said that he heard that Charlie was in stable condition. But I think that people were saying that on purpose to, I don't know, I don't know if it was to buy time. I don't know if it was to drag out the shock of everything. I don't know why people do what they do. Somebody said Charlie Kirk was 6'5". He was a big guy. One of the videos I watched yesterday was some guy in the crowd who was arguing with Charlie Kirk about how tall he was. The guy was like, you're lying to us. There's no way you're 6'5". And Charlie's like, bro, like all I have to do is stand up. I mean, you're clearly like 5 something. I'm clearly 6. Like I can stand up. Is there anybody? And he's like asking people in the crowd, who here is over 6 foot? Like that person could have come and stood next to them. You can clearly see Charlie Kirk is a very tall man. Any pictures you look at, he's generally sitting down, right? So you don't really realize how tall somebody is till they stand up. But people would argue with him about absolutely everything. And it's just, the irony is, I hate that word, but the irony of him being assassinated at the moment where he's talking about gun violence, I think a lot of people are going to use that to push again for no guns. People were saying, oh, you know, so much for gun laws. He was murdered in a gun-free zone. Utah's college campus is not a gun-free zone. You can have guns on their campus. This is one of those tricky little spots for a lot of people, is how can you go, well, there shouldn't have been guns there, but at the same time go, well, constitutional carry. There should be no places that are off limits for guns, right? Like, isn't that how we should feel until somebody gets shot by one and then we're like, oh, there shouldn't have been guns there. You can't have it both ways. Because my first thought was, how did a gun get in there? Well, technically it didn't. It got onto a rooftop from what it looks like. But at the same time, you can't be for constitutional carry and then say, well, guns shouldn't be allowed here because that person's there. It kind of doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's like I said, slippery slope, weird place to be in. We've been doing this for a long time. I appreciate y'all for being here with me. It's just all these things that I wanted to talk to you about. And like I said, I'm trying to stay cool, calm, and collected with it, and not be whatever. But I want to point this out to you because I think this is important, and I don't know how important it is, but I want to break down this thing for you. So they're saying that, you know, Charlie used to be an Israeli loyalist, like he was all about Israel, right? And then they said, and I've got the video here from his podcast where, you know, he feared that Israel would kill him, okay? He started to sorta criticize Israel. He said Epstein was Mossad. He let anti-Zionists speak at his events. Zionist media started attacking him. Someone shot his jugular 200 yards away. Netanyahu tweets within minutes. A patsy gets arrested and acts guilty, going, shoot me, right? We saw that. Assassin escapes without a trace. Netanyahu then tweets a longer message. It says, something tells me they're not going to tell us the truth about who killed Charlie Kirk. We still don't have the truth about the rooftop in Butler, Pennsylvania. We're never going to have the truth about any of it because the truth would either enrage us or not do enough. Like, I don't think that we'll ever know the truth about anything. We're never going to know the truth about Epstein. We're never going to know the truth about Kennedy. We're never going to know the truth about the Mars landing, moon landing, not Mars, moon landing, which according to my dad, who worked for NASA, said it didn't happen. So I'm going to go with that. But there's a lot of things we will never know the absolute truth about. And I believe that this is one of those things. We will never know who the shooter is. It's just too many angles that you look at this aren't good. Did Israel kill him? Did our government kill him? Did some batshit crazy person who happened to just be like a perfect sniper kill him? Like, because this is not some random person who was upset. This is not some random person who posted, even though there's posts on TikTok and social media in general from, you know, trans kids saying, oh, well, it ends tomorrow. No. Just like, who was it who was shot? The shot that they said that the Crooks kid did on Donald Trump. Like, you're going to tell me that this kid was able to have that accurate of a shot? Like, none of this stuff makes sense. So, y'all, I'm sorry, I lost my spot here. Like I said, there is a lot. This was posted on TikTok yesterday, and it's some video of somebody saying that they're going to go after Charlie Kirk, and then, you know, he dies. So all these things are going to be looked at under a microscope, I'm sure. Matt Walsh this morning posted, I woke up even angrier. I want justice for Charlie. Everyone responsible. Go back. Everyone responsible, everyone celebrating, everyone who encouraged this or fomented it in any way, I want them all held accountable. They want us dead. They're killing us. Now is not the time for a kumbaya stuff. This is real. And again, violence is not what Charlie Kirk would want, but violence is the emotional response that most people are going to go with. I mean, the same thing for me. And I can sit here and say all day long that I would be able to control myself if I saw somebody I love get hurt. I say it, I would lose my ever-loving mind. I already know it. I'd be behind bars because it's just, as much as you want to say you're not a violent person and you wouldn't do violent things, you do not know what you will do or are capable of until you are put into a situation that tests you, right? And Charlie Kirk was put into situations so many times to test him, to make him become violent, to make him angry, to make him call people names, to make him, you know, drop the facade like a lot of people said he had, and he never did. He never did. And I think that whether you're religious or not, you can't look at Charlie Kirk and not know for a fact that he was 100%, had 100% conviction in his faith. There's no way he could do what he did, put himself in that open arena every single time he went out, knowing that it could end his life. He could not do that if he was not 100% sure in his heart and soul that the end of his earthly life would not be the end of his eternal life, right? I don't really know how to phrase that. But you have got to have I myself am terrified of dying. I am terrified of dying because I still have not wrapped my mind around if there's a next, right? I tell you guys all the time, I am always 100% open, honest with y'all. I believe, but I am not to a Charlie Kirk level of belief. So for me, I could not do what he did because I would be too scared. He went out there with not a single ounce of fear in him. I would be too scared. I would be scared to leave my daughter behind, to leave my husband behind, to leave my mom behind, all these different things. I am selfish. I don't want to not be here. I want to be here as long as humanly possible. And not being here scares the shit out of me, right? And for somebody like Charlie to have the children and have the wife and have the life that he has, to not have that fear. It's not that he didn't let the fear overtake him. He didn't have the fear. And I think that is also why he was probably such a threat to so many people and organizations, because he did not fear the truth, his truth, anything else. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot more we could do, but my stomach just started growling and I have to potty, and this feels like emotional overload for me, and I can feel myself wanting to get into that cry mode again, so we're gonna not. I love y'all. I thank you for being here. I know we all feel the same. We don't know Charlie Kirk as a person, like personally, yet I feel like it affected all of us like he was our friend, our neighbor, or whatever else, because of what this whole thing really truly signifies. And I know today is 9/11 and we should be talking about that. I understand that, right? But it's Charlie is too fresh, right? Like the assassination of him is too fresh in my mind and my heart and my soul. So whatever that means, I don't know, y'all. I love you. That's what matters. I love you. Whether you like me, love me, not, I love you. How about that? It is easier to hate than love. So you got to try every single day to love harder than you hate. That's about what I've got for y'all. I will see you again later at some point. But for now, tinkle time, and go home and make some breakfast for the man and myself. So I love y'all. I want to say have a good rest of your day. It feels wrong to enjoy anything right now, but we got to try. So have a good rest of your day. Be nice to people. Tell the people you love that you love them. Tell the people that you hate that you love them. That'll really piss them off, and that might just be the start of everything, right? Anyway, that's all. I'll see you guys again later, okay? Bye.